Has it ever crossed your mind that regarding that heart desire, regarding that thing that you're waiting on God for, you need to help Him to make that come to pass? We were watching a movie, and this man was obviously not a man of God. And he was trying to recruit a new person to work with him. And he told the person, hey, we help God, So he has all these fake miracles, but the way he explained it, if you're not careful, you will start to nod. He was like, people's faith need to be stirred, and in order to do that, he needed to bring people testifying about fake miracles to stir up faith. Is there something wrong with stirring up faith? No, but is there something wrong with the method? 100% yes. I have 3 different people I want to highlight in today's story. The first person is a man who was the grandchild of a king, but he became a fugitive. He had to run away for his life. And like grandson of a king, and now running away for your life. How do they even correlate? How were they even related? Moses was the adopted grandchild of Pharaoh, because Pharaoh's daughter had adopted Moses after she found him at the river where she went to have a bath. So Moses was grown by his biological mother. However, he was actually adopted by Pharaoh's daughter and had to live in the palace. But his lineage, his bloodline were slaves. The Israelites were slaves in Egypt. He ended up being a fugitive in an attempt to help God. The Israelites were going through so much oppression. Can't even imagine. So much slavery, so much oppression in Egypt. This is something that was prophesied about, that the children were going to go into a time of oppression. They were going to, be in a time where they're going to experience, slavery and all of that. But they were going to come out of it because God has already prophesied. But Moses felt, you know what? God, you're not coming fast enough. You're not working at this fast enough. So I need to help you. So Moses sometimes that story makes me laugh, because my thought is, okay, if you decide that your own idea of delivering the children of Israelites from slavery is by killing each Egyptian that you come across, how many years and how long is that going to take you? One after the other. How long? And what is the guarantee that you're not going to meet one that is going to overpower you and kill you instead? Moses finds an Egyptian and an Israelite fighting. And his thought was, I'm gonna look to the left, look to the right. No one is there. Nobody can see me. I'm gonna kill the Egyptian and bury him. And then the next day he sees 2 Israelites fighting, and he's like trying to separate them because he can't kill either of them. They're his people. And then one of them says, who made you lord over us? Or do you plan on killing one of us or killing us just like you killed the Egyptian the other day? And it was such a shocker for Moses, because he did not know that this thing, he said he never knew that this thing was known. And it also got to the ears of Pharaoh. And Pharaoh actually sought to kill Moses. Is now on the run for his life. The second person I want to talk about is a man who thought, and to be honest, reading that in the Bible sort of made me think. I was like, this seemed like a genuine help. It genuinely felt like because circumstances that presented itself showed that, oh, this thing is gonna go, it's gonna fall, it's gonna drop if I do not help. I'm talking about Uzzah, the story of Uzzah, the son of Abinadab. They were moving, David got some of his people to move the Ark of God. The Ark of God had been in Abinadab's house, and the oxen that was carrying the Ark tipped, so the Ark was falling to the ground, the Ark of God. And Uzzah's thought is, God, you cannot figure this out. I'm going to help you catch the Ark of God. So he touched it. Now, the Ark of God was a significant mark of the presence of God. It's like the throne of God. So, you're not physically allowed to touch it, right? But you would think it's just like you have a child with you and that child trips and you catch the child. It's a genuine and I would say a normal reaction. However, it also made me realize that God did not need Uzzah's help. He didn't need his help to catch his ark. But also, if you read that, 2 Samuel chapter 6, you would see that this ark of God had been in Abinadab's house. Remember, Abinadab is the father of Uzzah and Ahio. There's that tendency that Uzzah, the house of Abinadab, now had no regard for the ark of God because of something we call in Nigeria, say see finish. Somebody has been in your house, you've seen this in the morning, you see it in the afternoon, you see it. To you, it's like nothing. So that disregard for the ark of God, that was what caused that behavior of, I'm gonna catch it. I mean, that's something that has been in my house, it never hurt me. And what was the consequence of Uzzah trying to help God? He was struck. He died. Okay? So that's something that could happen when you're trying to help God. The third person I want to talk about, and I had such a hard time trying to come to a conclusion if it's just one person or two people. But I'm just going to say Sarah and Abraham. God had prophesied to Abraham. It's like, hey, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. This is Genesis 15-16. Abraham's concern at that time was that Eliezer of Damascus was heading, his house was what they would say, head of the servant of the house of Abraham. And Abraham was concerned that since at that age himself and Sarah had not had any child, is it that Eliezer and his kids are going to be the one to inherit all the wealth that he had? That was his thought, right? So he brought that before God, and God said, no, you are actually going to have your own seed. Yeah. And now there's a lot to unpack there. My first thought was that, is it that Abraham never discussed this thing with Sarah? Or was it discussed with Sarah and she came up with, okay, now I'm going to help God? Because Sarah went ahead to say, hey, I'm not having kids, it's not coming. But this is my servant, my maid, Hagar. Let her be your wife and technically a mistress, and then she can bear you a child. And I mean, they did that. It worked, right? It worked. Hagar begat Ishmael. However, the kind of issues that came up before even Hagar had the baby, there was a lot of conflict to the point that Agar even had to run away for her life. There's a lot of heartache. And then if we talk about the lineage of Ishmael, how things just played, it's just a constant reminder that God does not need your help. So this is a message to all the helpers of God out there. God does not need your help. He actually does not need your help. Yeah, I got that out. What are things that you can take away from today's talk? I want you to remember that you should refrain from helping God. Refrain from that desire to be like, okay, what if I just, as a way of making this thing come to pass, I am 50, my husband has been deemed infertile, he cannot get me pregnant, or I am 50 and I don't know if I'm ever going to have a child, and maybe let me cheat on my husband, or I've been married to my wife for years and the kids are not coming forth. How about I have someone outside that would have a kid for me? A lot of things happen. These are just instances that the Spirit of God just laid in my heart to mention. But run away from helping God. Run away from that desire, that human feeling, that tendency that you need to help God. Why? Lesson number 2. You are the one that's going to get hurt, not God. You're going to hurt yourself. Remember Uzzah, what happened to him? He died from helping God catch his ark. Remember Moses, he had to be on the run for his life. He was on the run. A king's grandson, but a fugitive. And then remember Sarah. There's so many things that happen. And the third lesson that I want you to take from this on why you don't need to help God is because a lot of times we take detours. Why? Because in our desire or our quest to help God, so something that was supposed to take you 5 years is now taking you 15 years. Something that was supposed to take you a year is not taking you 10 years because you refused to be on the path that God has set you on. Now on the other side, I'm just thinking people are probably like, what about the part where you have to pray the will of God to come to pass? That is different. All these people, they did not pray the will of God to come to pass. Uzzah did not inquire of the Lord. And by the way, David was there. I'm sure there were people older than him that knew God better, had worked with God better. He never inquired of them if it was okay to do this. Sarah and Abraham, rather than believing God and following what God had said and waiting on God and praying to God, they decided to physically go and help God. Now, this is different from you're supposed to write an exam and you actually study for the exam. That's different. Those things, faith without works is dead. Faith without works is dead is different from helping God. So people of God, my plea to you today is refrain from helping God. Yeah. Now we can relax because we've let that one out.